Wide Sargasso Sea is a 1966 novel by Dominica-born British author Jean Rhys. It is a feminist and anti-colonial response to Charlotte Brontë's novel Jane Eyre, 1847. Describing the background to Mr. Rochester's marriage from the point of view of his mad wife, Antoinette Cosway, a Creole heiress. Antoinette's story is told from the time of her youth in Jamaica, to her unhappy marriage to a certain unnamed English gentleman, who renames her Bertha, declares her mad, takes her to England, and isolates her away from the rest of the world in his mansion. Antoinette is caught in an oppressive patriarchal society in which she fully belongs neither to Europe nor to Jamaica. Wide Sargasso Sea explores the power of relationships between men and women and develops post-colonial themes, such as racism, displacement, and assimilation. Plot summary. The novel, initially set in Jamaica, opens a short while after the Slavery Abolition Act 1833. Ended slavery in the British Empire on August 1, 1834. The protagonist Antoinette relates the story of her life from childhood to her arranged marriage to an unnamed Englishman. The novel is in 3 parts. Part 1 takes place in Culebri, a sugar plantation in Jamaica, and is narrated by Antoinette as a child. Formerly wealthy, since the abolition of slavery, the estate has become derelict and her family has been plunged into poverty. Antoinette's mother, Annette, must remarry to wealthy Englishman Mr. Mason, who is hoping to exploit his new wife's situation. Angry at the returning prosperity of their oppressors, freed slaves living in Culebri burn down Annette's house, killing Antoinette's mentally disabled younger brother, Pierre. As Annette had been struggling with her mental health up until this point, the grief of losing her son weakens her sanity. Mr. Mason sends her to live with a couple who torment her until she dies, and Antoinette does not see her again. Part 2 alternates between the points of view of Antoinette and her husband during their honeymoon excursion to Grand Boy, Dominica. Likely catalysts for Antoinette's downfall are the mutual suspicions that develop between the couple, and the machinations of Daniel, who claims he is Antoinette's illegitimate half-brother. He impugns Antoinette's reputation and mental state and demands money to keep quiet. Antoinette's old nurse Christophine openly distrusts the Englishman. His apparent belief in the stories about Antoinette's family and past aggravate the situation. Her husband is unfaithful and emotionally abusive. He begins to call her Bertha rather than her real name and flaunts his affairs in front of her to cause her pain. Antoinette's increased sense of paranoia and the bitter disappointment of her failing marriage unbalance her already precarious mental and emotional state. She flees to the house of Christophine, the servant woman who raised her. Antoinette pleads with Christophine for an obeah potion to attempt to reignite her husband's love, which Christophine reluctantly gives her. Antoinette returns home, but the love potion acts like a poison on her husband. Subsequently he refuses Christophine's offer of help for his wife and takes her to England. Part 3 is the shortest part of the novel. It is from the perspective of Antoinette, renamed by her husband as Bertha. She is largely confined to the attic of Thornfield Hall, the mansion she calls the Great House. The story traces her relationship with Grace Poole, the servant who is tasked with guarding her, as well as her disintegrating life with the Englishman. As he hides her from the world, he makes empty promises to come to her more but sees less of her. He ventures away to pursue relationships with other women, and eventually with the young governess. Antoinette is clearly mad and has little understanding of how much time she has been confined. She fixates on options of freedom, including her stepbrother Richard, who, however, will not interfere with her husband, so she attacks him with a stolen knife, expressing her thoughts in stream of consciousness. Antoinette dreams of flames engulfing the house and her freedom from the life she has there, and believes it is her destiny to fulfill the vision. Waking from her dream, she escapes her room and sets the fire. End of the summary. Thank you.